Wei, in Tokyo this week, the IMF and World Bank are having their annual meeting, and it's a big deal. It's a big talk shop for bankers and for policymakers and finance ministers and the whole lot. And I know it's just a lot of hot air for the most part, but notable by its absence is China. Why aren't they going? Are they mad about the IMF? I thought they were trying to get a bigger role in that body.
I think so, because domestically there were so many, protests going on anti-Japan.
Right.
It would be sort of bad politically if the leaders were seeing as China is sending senior leaders to Japan, even though it's an IMF party, which is
right. So this is like the U.S. boycotting the Moscow Olympics in 1980. They're mad at the Japanese, and they're going to hold everyone responsible. They're going to hold the IMF to judge for this.
Yeah. Well, the problem with China is, as you were saying, that they're trying to get a bigger say in a global organization, and they wanted to show that they are grown up and willing to engage in a dialogue.
Yeah, that's why the central bank chief was supposed to go there and speak, right?
Right. He was supposed to have a pretty high-profile speech the first time for China. I think it's a shame that he canceled, because he was pushing really hard on the UN internalization scheme. He was the first one to use the opportunity, the international stage, to say things like that. So it's missing.
What's the calculus then? I mean, are they really that worried about a domestic backlash? I mean, this was a big opportunity for them to get on a bigger stage and show their new international role and their larger economic role. Is it really that problematic to go to Japan at this point?
Well, what's happening at home is two things. One is the political transition, which will happen in a month's time. So no one wants to do anything that sort of could be anything sensitive at home. And the other thing is the economy slowed down.
Yeah,
so the authorities probably don't mind diverting attention a bit away from domestic issues to international problems.
Right. So they're busy with the economy. They've got that problem to solve, and there's really nothing but downside risk for them from the political, domestic politics point of view. But didn't this worry us about China? I mean, one, they're missing a great opportunity, and secondly, if they're that worried about the economy, what does that tell us? I mean, we've seen a long string of companies come out and say, look, I think someone last night said the economy in China international paper said the economy in China feels like it's going at 2%, not 7.6%, and GDP figures out next week could be pretty bad, right?
I think if China is really worried about its economy, and fighting a war with Japan, even if it's just like a verbal war, is a bad idea.
Right.
Because it fuels nationalistic sentiment. We have seen protests and smashing cars and etc. China actually runs a trade surplus against Japan.
Right.
So it has a lot to gain from Japan. We're trading with Japan, and Japanese are big investors in China.
Right.
So it's bad for everyone. It's for China, Japan, for the rest of the world, and not in China's economic interest either to do that.
So it's sort of mutually assured economic destruction from this kerfuffle.
Absolutely.
Do you think they'll let it die down eventually?
I hope it will die down, but looking at how it happened the last time, in 2005, it was more over a textbook debate about history, and also a Japanese prime minister visiting a shrine.
Right, but that also died down, right?
That died down pretty quickly.
Okay.
But this time, I think it's quite different now.
Yeah.
Territorial disputes and all these protests are much bigger than before.
Right.
So I think it will take longer for it to pass.
We'll just have to keep our fingers crossed then.
Yes.